The Divine Law. The Third Testament, Chapter 16. The power of the divine law. Thus saith the Lord.
There are many men who believe my doctrine to be outdated, behind the times, if you will. That is because their material nature does not allow them to discover the eternal meaning of my teachings. My law is unchanging, and instead it is men, together with their cultures, civilizations, and laws that are ephemeral, of which survive only the things the Spirit has created with its works of love and compassion. It is the Spirit that, after every workday and after every trial, upon consulting the divine spring of wisdom, beholds the immovable rock of my law and the ever-open book containing the doctrine of the Spirit. I have shown my light upon all men, revealing to them the only existing truth. But you can see how each and every man and nation feels, thinks, believes, and interprets it all differently. These distinct and diverse mindsets of men have given rise to their divisions, because every nation or race follows a different path and upholds different ideals. The majority of men have departed from the true and illuminated path, believing that, in order to fulfill the divine law, superhuman sacrifices, self-denial, and effort are required, preferring to create for themselves religions and sects, whose laws and practices are easier for them to fulfill. In this way do men believe to satisfy the need for light and elevation their spirits experience. Many centuries and eras have passed, without men realizing that fulfilling my law does not entail for them a material sacrifice, but rather, should they deny my commandments, they would very much sacrifice both body and spirit to the world instead. They have not realized, they did not wish to understand that whoever lives in accordance with my word will find true happiness, a peace, wisdom, and glory that the materialized men imagine in such a different manner. The moral and scientific world that surrounds you is the product of men with materialistic ideals. Men who merely sought the material improvement of humanity. And I have allowed them to do their work, to go through with it to its very limits, to come to know its consequences, and for them to gather the fruits of their labor, so as to draw from it the light of experience. In this very light will my justice be revealed, and in this justice will be present my law, which is love. If I were to allow you to apply my doctrine to your lives according to your own will rather than mine, then truly, I tell you, you would never escape your spiritual stagnation, as you would forbid your spirits from unfolding, developing, and perfecting themselves. And here you have men growing lethargic in their own religions, taking no more steps towards the light, for they have refused to submit themselves to the order of the divine law, instead seeking to submit my law to their own will by cluttering it with myths and heresies. It was necessary for many men of this time to free themselves of all religions, in order for them to seek me with the Spirit, and be able to develop all the characteristics, gifts, and abilities they feel within the innermost part of their being. The commandment of the love of God in the work of the Spirit. It is your God who speaks to you. My voice is the law. Today you hear it once again, without the need of inscribing it upon a rock, or for me to send my Word incarnate to be among you. It is my divine voice descending upon your spirits, revealing to them the beginning of an era, during which man will grow to be righteous, for he will reconcile with his Creator and purify himself, as it is written. Through Jesus, I gave you the perfect teaching. Contemplate my passage through this world as a man, from birth to death, for thus will the love, in a living and perfect manner, reveal itself to you. I do not demand of you to be equal to Jesus, for within him existed something you cannot achieve, to be perfect, even as a man, for God himself was within him, albeit in a limited form. However, once more I tell you, you must emulate him. My eternal law has always spoken to you of that love. I told you during the first times, love God with all your heart and spirit, and love your neighbor as yourself. Later on, I gave you these inspiring words. Love your brothers and sisters as the Father has loved you, and love one another. During this time, I have revealed to you that you must love God above all else, to love God in all that exists, and all that exists in God, to show mercy and compassion to your fellow men, so you may behold the Father in all his glory. For compassion is love. I am not even telling you that this spiritual doctrine will be a worldwide religion, because I have never brought you a religion, but a law. I limit myself to telling you this, the law that will triumph and remain valid on this earth, illuminating the existence of men, will be the law of love I have explained to you in my doctrine, so you will come to fully understand it. Mankind will perform many more false deeds of love and charity, until it will learn to practice true love, and many will have to wander from denomination to denomination until their spirits elevate themselves to a higher level of understanding, finally realizing that the only law, the universal and eternal doctrine of the Spirit, is the law of love, which one and all will attain. All religions will disappear, and only the light of the temple of God will remain, shining within and outside of man, a temple in which all will render a single worship, one of obedience, love, faith, and goodwill.
Violation of the divine commandments and consequences thereof. On this morning of festive commemoration, I ask you, what have you done with the law I conveyed to mankind through Moses? Were those commandments given only to the men of that time? Truly, I tell you, that holy seed does not dwell within the hearts of men, for they do not love me, and neither do they love one another. They do not honor their parents, nor do they respect what belongs to others. On the contrary even, they take one another's lives, they adulterate, and bring shame upon themselves. Do you not hear the falsehood emerging from everyone's lips? Have you not realized how one people deprives another people of its peace? And still mankind insists it knows my law. What would become of men if they were to forget my commandments entirely? During the second era, when Jesus entered Jerusalem, he found that the temple, the place dedicated to prayer and worship, had been transformed into a market. And the master, full of zeal, cast out those who had defiled the temple, saying to them, "My Father's house is not a marketplace." However, those he cast out were less guilty for what they did than those who were supposed to be responsible for guiding men in the law of God. The priests had converted the temple into a place where ambitions and pompousness ruled, but this reign was destroyed. Today, I have not made use of a whip to punish those who defile my law. I have, however, allowed the consequences of their transgressions to be felt within them, so they may come to understand their meaning and realize that my law is inflexible and unchanging. I have pointed man towards the straight and righteous path, the path he needs to follow. Should he depart from it, he subjects himself to the consequences of transgressing my righteous law, wherein my love is made manifest. I will reconstruct my temple, a temple without walls or towers, for it exists within the hearts of men. The Tower of Babel divides humanity still, but its foundations shall be destroyed within the hearts of men. Idolatry and religious fanaticism have erected tall towers as well, though they are brittle, and they shall fall. Truly, I tell you, my laws, both the divine and human, are sacred, and they themselves shall judge the world. Humanity does not believe itself to be idolatrous, but truly, I tell you, still it worships the golden calf. Chaos has returned, for there exists no more virtue, and where there is no virtue, there can be no truth. It is not that the law the Father delivered to Moses has no power, nor that the doctrine of Jesus was only applicable to past times. Both of them, in their spiritual essence, are eternal laws. Recognize, however, that they are like a fountain, from whose waters none are compelled to drink, but that whoever approaches this fountain of love does so of their own volition. Interpret my teachings correctly. Do not think that my spirit is happy to see your suffering on this earth, or that I come to deprive you of everything that brings you joy, just for me to delight in your misery. I come to make you recognize and respect my laws, for they are worthy of your obedience and respect, because when you comply with them, they will grant you joy and bliss. I taught you to render unto God what is God's, and unto Caesar what is Caesar's. But for the men of today, there is only Caesar, and to your Lord you have nothing to offer. If only you would offer to the world what is absolutely necessary, then your suffering would be less. But the Caesar you have allowed to dictate your every move has declared absurd laws, has made you slaves, and taken your lives from you, without giving you anything in return. Consider how different my law is, which tethers neither the body nor the spirit. It merely persuades you with love and gently guides you. It freely gives you everything, devoid of self-interest or egoism, rewarding and compensating all over time. Fulfillment of the supreme commandment. The Lord has told you, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and spirit, and love your neighbor as yourself. The Master preached to you the doctrine of love. Now this spiritual voice, proceeding from the same source, comes to tell you to embrace the law of love, for it possesses a strength that not even the greatest armies of the world can claim to have. Its conquests shall be certain and lasting, for all that you build upon foundations of love will have life eternal. I show you the true life of the Spirit, so you will not live under unjust threats, merely obeying my law out of fear of God's punishment. For you have been told of this punishment by those who have not known how to correctly interpret my word. Take my law. It is neither complicated nor difficult to comprehend. None who know it and align themselves with it will be struck down. They will give no room to erroneous words, prophecies, ideas, or interpretations. My law is simple. It always shows the way you must follow. Trust in me, for I am the way, and I will lead you to the brilliant white city, the promised land, keeping its gates open in anticipation of your arrival. When will you finally be convinced that only by fulfilling my law will you be able to find health, happiness, and life? You acknowledge that in this material life there are principles one must follow in order to survive. However, you have forgotten that there are spiritual principles as well that must be respected, so one may partake of the source of eternal life within all things divine. Remember that I alone am your salvation. In times past, present, and future, my law was, is, and will be the way, the guide of your spirits. Blessed be all who trust in my law, for they shall never lose their way at the crossroads. They will arrive at the promised land and intone the hymn of triumph. I know that the greater your knowledge of me, the more you will love me. When I say to you, love me, do you know what I truly wish to tell you? I am telling you to love truth, to love life, to love light, to love one another, and to love the true life. I want you to love one another as I love you, and to love yourselves as well, for I have entrusted to you the guidance and leadership of not just a certain number of people, but of yourselves as well, for this is your first and foremost obligation towards me. You must love yourselves, knowing that you are the living image of your Creator. The mission I have entrusted to my people on this earth is both great and incredibly delicate. That is why I have sought them out in every era to inspire them with my word, revealing to them another piece of the content of my law every time. The law of love, goodness, and justice has been the spiritual inheritance I have delivered to my people in every era. From lesson to lesson, I have guided humanity towards the understanding that the law can be summarized in a single commandment. Love. Love the Father, the author of life. Love your brother, a very part of the Father. And love all that the Lord has created and decreed. Love is the cause, the origin, the seed of wisdom, greatness, strength, elevation, and life. That is the true path outlined by the Creator for the Spirit, so that step by step, from homestead to homestead, you will feel ever closer to me. If mankind had made a worship of the spiritual love from the very beginning, instead of falling into idolatrous rites and religious fanaticism, this world, today transformed into a valley of tears by men's anguish and misery, would be a valley of peace, in which spirits would gain merits in order to, after this life, reach those spiritual homesteads they must enter on their journey towards elevation.